Hi, everybody. I'm Glenn Kennedy. This is my partner, Charles Motz.
Glad to be here today. And they say there's going to be a heat wave, but can it get any hotter?
Yeah, I don't think so, Charles. We had that hurricane that came through the first time in 80 years or so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we all survived it pretty well.
we survived it.
Yeah,
Sure, we
that's
did.
what
We sure
counts.
did.
Lark Ellen, she kind of was raised right here in West Covina, and of course she was a legend. Do you know much about her? I would like to know more if you do,
Well,
Glenn.
Lark Ellen was like the Elvis Presley of her time, the Beatles, whatever. She was the biggest thing going. She was a vaudeville opera singer. She did it all. I know that she was originally from New York, and that she moved out to West Covina, turn of the century, I would
Yeah.
say, late 1800s,
Hmm.
1900s, somewhere around there. Yeah, she had um, her property was right there where the Lark Ellen Hospital is, the corner of Lark Ellen and San Bernardino Road. She owned that whole. Do you consider that a city block, Charles?
Yes.
She owned she owned from Lark Ellen to Vincent, and from San Bernardino Road to Badilla. She owned that whole square where the hospital's at, and then the old Honeywell, the old church is there
Oh,
now, and all the way to where the Arco gas station is.
yeah. That's quite a chunk of
Yeah,
property. Yeah.
and she owned that, and then when her husband died, um, she built a house up there off of a Branca and Cameron.
Hmm.
So uh, where the corner sits is that beautiful home.
Hmm.
Uh, the monastery owns it now. I went there once for a fundraiser. It's a beautiful
Is
home.
it a
It's
beautiful home?
beautiful. Um, well, Lark Allen, she lived next door on the hill, and she built like an outdoor venue. Was her own opera, a bowl. It was like the Hollywood Bowl,
Hmm.
but it was the little bowl in West Covina.
Oh, yes. I
Yes,
remember that. Yes.
and I know a few barn boys here heard her sing. I know that Bill Berger heard her.
Hmm.
I know that Joe Hurst and Pete Reynolds and Jack Milligan.
Hmm.
They all said the same thing. She said it was like heaven on earth.
Yeah, I
Her
heard
her
her
voice
voice.
was that beautiful,
Hmm.
and I know that another barn boy, Tim McDonough, our attorney, um, he has some old records that he's brought in, and we've
Oh,
listened to her a few times.
that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
quite a talent.
Yes, yes.
Quite a talent.
Hmm.
But her real name was Ellen Beach Yaw, and I know that she got her nickname from Otis Chandler, the publisher of the LA Times.
Oh my
He gave her
gosh.
the nickname because she sang like a lark, the bird, the lark,
Oh.
and so he gave her the name Lark Ellen. That's how she got her nickname.
Oh, that's interesting,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
quite an honor.
I know she has the streets named after her. There's a Lark Ellen School that sits on Lark Ellen in Cypress. The Lark Ellen Towers, the old railway that used to run down there was the Lark Ellen Station.
Hmm.
So she had few things named after her. She had a couple boys' homes. I know that she had one in off Olympic Boulevard over there, I think by UCLA on the west part of LA. And then she had one here in Covina. And you know a little bit about that,
Yeah,
don't you,
the way
Charles?
I understood it was up kind of up Covina there, and a lot of the young people went to. She helped out
Yeah.
because it was kind of the end or the beginning of the Depression, and if you had a orphan child, you could send them there, and she would take good care of them. And also, if you just couldn't feed your children anymore, which is hard to believe in this day and age.
Well, it was a depression.
Depression.
Yeah, and that's how it was. She's
Yeah.
very charitable,
Hmm.
and
Very.
her her boys' home was it's where Citrus College is now.
Oh,
It's on
okay.
Citrus. It's where the pool's at.
Okay.
It's up there off Citrus, and I think it's on the Azusa side.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I know that the community helped quite a bit. Anything she needed, uh, they would take there. And supply food, the farmers would,
Mm-hmm.
and she just would have to tell them what she needed, and it was a wonderful thing that happened because at that period of time we had that problem here in our community. And then I think they went on to the Masonic home up
The
in the
boys'
Covina
home.
Hill, boys' home in the hills. And
You're talking about Leroy's boys' home.
this was they came later.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think they were all connected because the Lions Club picked up a lot of the help at that time. And the Masonic homeboys, they brought them to the Episcopal Church there in Covina, right across from the park. And they went to Covina High School, and they all lived up there in the hills at the home. And they had animals, and they would show them at the fairs. They had beautiful white-faced cattle. I remember that. And they had a Marine officer that took care of the home and a Navy officer. And when they said lights were out, lights were out.
Let's go out.
and but they were very good students, outstanding students, and they just were wonderful students. And I think they did a lot of good. And then the Leroy's Boys Home uh, continued on, and they were financed by the Lions Club out of Pomona and Covina.
Okay.
So I know that Malcolm Burney was their accountant for
Okay.
years. He was a young man, and so many of the students at the Leroy's Boys Home returned and became counselors and guidance for the new young people being.
Well, we had a barn boy here named Pete Sunfell, right? Great big guy, college Hall of Fame football player, great guy. He was there. He lived in the boys' home.
Yes, he was.
And what he told me was the kids that went to the Lark Ellen boys' home, they weren't bad kids. They were just orphaned.
That's right.
They had no parents. The parents had died or some tragic had happened in the family. Like when I was going to school, I went to school with three boys who went to McLaren Hall in El Monte, and they had horror stories.
Yes.
They had been tortured, and
Mm-hmm.
and the discipline was inhumane.
Mm-hmm.
And this this home was not like that. It was just for unfortunate circumstances that happened to a young child.
Yes, and wasn't it wonderful that she took her finances and started those two schools and more? The one in Los Angeles was quite large.
Yeah, I saw it was huge.
It was huge.
It was
It was just
huge. She
huge.
housed a lot of, I would say a couple hundred by looking at the building.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like at least could house a couple hundred kids.
Sure, easily. And
Yeah.
I know the one up there in Covina took care of a lot of young people, and it was just a wonderful thing at that period of time. And the community volunteered their time, anything she needed. There was always somebody there to help and provide food from the farmers, and also with the Leroy's Boys Home. I mean, they really worked hard. And you're right. And Pete Salvo went to both schools, and he went on to Whittier College, and he went into the service, and he served under General Patton. And at the end of the war, General Patton asked Pete if he could stay another year more to help him, and that would be quite an honor, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And didn't Pete start up the Tribune or work with the newspaper
Yeah,
after
he
that?
was they were silent partners in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can see the outstanding people they were producing for our community. And I heard nothing but good things about all the schools that she
Yeah.
started.
She was quite a philanthropist.
Yes.
You know, she gave a lot back to the community,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually got when Bill Berger passed away here last year. I think he might have been the last person to ever hear her sing. I don't think you never heard her sing, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
Now Ted Hamachi, I asked him. He said no. Maybe Bacon Sakatani or Mrs. Renicky. I asked them. I haven't asked Bacon Sakatani, but everybody else said no. They never heard her sing. So
Yes.
I don't know when she stopped singing, but all the old guys before they all heard her sing.
Yes, they did,
Yeah.
and they respected a lot of what she did. And you are right; her voice, they said, was outstanding. It was nothing like it. Now she was in Europe before the war and
Yes, she
returned.
was. Okay, so she was touring Europe, and then the war broke out, and this is way before America got involved, like 1912 or
Oh,
something,
okay.
and then she came back to the United States.
Hmm. And Covina and West Covina and the community surrounding made sure that all the young people had an opportunity. See, we didn't have a Red Cross out here. The Red Cross was still back east. So basically, it was up to her, and she started this, and the community to make sure that nobody went without an opportunity. And I thought that was quite a plus for the communities here because I know that I knew the founding fathers, you might say, and they were very generous, I know, at all times with the youth of this country and this city. So it was a nice thing she did. And
Yeah. So I know that I Pete Reynolds, who owns
mhm,
Buick Reynolds,
mhm.
uh, I talked to him a little bit about it before he passed away. Um, he said that uh, his uncle, their family property was across the street,
Yes.
so he knew Lark Ellen very, very well. And uh, Pete told me a few stories. She had a beautiful garden.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah, she
that.
had beautiful roses, and it was quite a sight.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I didn't realize that she had the garden. That was
yeah.
interesting.
She that was her one of her passions was roses and she had a garden. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there was a Mr. Lincoln Rose in there. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'll
mean
make you bet.
she had all the roses. I've actually seen a couple pictures, but they're in black and white, so they do no justice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I could name the favorite roses, uh,
Sure.
and I bet there was a yellow one in there some way, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, everything like that grew, and people enjoyed their gardens here, and they still do. That's one thing about
Yes.
Southern California is the wonderful gardens. Didn't she leave a wonderful legacy
Yeah,
for
she
us?
did. Okay, so I know the boys' home in L.A. It went for a couple years after she passed away. I think it was there like 55 years, and I don't know. The Lions had taken it over, and I don't know if they ran out of money or they decided to turn it into office buildings. And the one in Covina, it went to the later 50s,
Yes.
maybe early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I know somewhere in that general area, and then I don't know. I think that they merged with Leroy's Boys Home. I think, and they moved to where it's at now. It's not called Leroy's Boys Home. I don't know what it's called now, but it's up there in Laverne there. I think that's where they all transferred over.
And I imagine, I know that some judges in Pomona, and Malcolm Burney was telling me this. He did their books ever since he was a young accountant. That a lot of them went to the colleges out in Claremont in that area, and they
Uh huh.
mostly all had an opportunity if they wanted to go on, and they always found a sponsor for them. And the Masons were very good to them also.
Yeah.
There was a so
Did she have a? I think she may have left a foundation. I know that she was involved in a lot of stuff. She was a very wealthy woman.
yes, she
She was
was.
very wealthy,
Hmm.
and by even by today's standards.
Yeah.
So so I know that she did a lot of charity work. I know she helped out singers and she actually taught people how to sing
Hmm.
and uh, quite a deal. I know that she sang uh, everywhere. She did all the kinds of charity events, and she had that little bowl there.
Yeah, remember the bowl?
How cool was that? Did you ever see it?
I one time I remember seeing it, and I
Yeah.
went there for something else. And I imagine she sung in the park a lot, don't you?
Yes, she sang at Covina Park.
Yes.
Um, her house is still there. Her
Hmm.
house is still there, but the bowl's gone. And I think the monastery now owns that property at the corner. and I think it sits up here and then it goes down, and
Yeah.
that was her bull,
Oh,
and I think they own that property now.
that was a beautiful area.
Yeah, it still is.
Still
It
is.
still
Yes,
is. Yes.
still is. That wonderful area. Yeah, that's been a nice thing that was done in Covina and West
Hmm.
Covina. And like you say, she lived basically in West Covina.
Yeah, and she's buried with her sister and I think her husband up in Rose Hills.
Oh,
She's
okay.
in Rose Hills. Yeah.
Rosehill.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well,
that's interesting, and I
Gary,
enjoyed.
anything else?
Yeah, no, I think that's about it. And there were a lot of heroes. I wish we knew who all helped with her and getting it set up, but there just isn't those records. But
No.
everybody stepped up.
All I could read about is what newspaper clippings we do have.
Hmm.
It's very rare. Like the Camino Argus. It's hard to find the old. You have to actually find the physical paper,
Yeah.
uh, um, and it makes researching very very difficult.
Hmm. But I know the community stepped up, and
Yeah,
that's what they.
so you have to basically get your information from people who actually lived it.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so and that's another part about the history of West Covina, as I think I may have mentioned this earlier. Um, when they remodeled the city hall in 1967, from 1923 to 1967, they threw everything out.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is awful.
Yeah, it really is.
And the only thing they kept is what they had to keep by law,
Hmm.
like the minutes.
Hmm.
But everything else got tossed. So to actually know what was here, why it was here, you actually had to talk to people who actually lived it.
Yeah.
And now that everybody's basically passed away, it makes it very difficult.
Very difficult, and we can only remember what we heard as we went growing
Yeah.
up. That's
Yeah.
so.
Okay, well, thank you, Charles. It was
Well,
nice talking to you.
nice to be here,
And we'll see you next time.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.